All right, we're back. Sort of. It's been a little bit of a delay. I've been gone for a while. Big thing is that, I moved to Norfolk. My family moved to Texas. And then, after about a year, found out that it sucked. And recently they moved up here, which means that I now have a new, as you can see, it is a bit chaotic. Still getting moved in. Lots of stuff going on. But more importantly, I got the bike here. And there's a few things to address. As you can see, I had the seat off. But just to do let's do a little project update as to how the bike currently is, what needs to happen, and then, we'll talk about some future plans and or projects that we will be doing. So, first of all, if you don't remember, 2016, so first gen. Pretty decent amount of work done to this thing, and pretty decent amount more left. So first things first, these did not fare very well, whether in the move or just the heat. This actually was completely out. In fact, it has somehow miraculously retained itself. This was dangling. I'm going to replace all of these. This one too. Those did not last very well at all. This is my Power Commander 5. So you might be wondering why this is sticking out. This cable actually goes to the wideband 2 module, which is down here. I was having issues because as I was writing, it would start to bog down quite a bit. Now here I have my wideband 2 sensor gauge. What I was noticing is that it would just start going super rich. It would bog down, go down to below 10 AFR. Was not 100% sure what was going on, but I did a little bit of writing, and what I found was that it would go down to 10, and then I would purposely run over like a pothole or something like that, or a bump, and then I would get signal back. So to me, kind of looking at that, I was able to repeat this over and over and over and over again, and that kind of led me to think, okay, this has got to be a wiring issue, so chances are that's what the problem is. Looking through, I did a quick check, right? Made sure all this stuff was good to go. This is the comms wire for the Power Commander. Move that out the way. Grounds were looking good. This is the actual power source for the Power Commander as well. And then trace down to here. And then as I was going through, you can kind of see, I gave a little tug test. And when I did that, the ground wire popped right out. So I'm going to go ahead and put that back in, get it tightened down, check these other two wires and make sure these are good to go. But hopefully this solves my issue as far as why I was getting intermittent signal. It would make sense that this was the issue because, ground doesn't work, then the bike doesn't work, or at least this particular wideband 2. So I'll get this hooked up, give it a few test rides, and hopefully that does that, and that problem's good to go. So other than that, those are kind of the major things right now. We can talk about some project updates that we're looking to do here in the future. I have, first of all, replacement for this. I'm excited about that. So I have a new piece that I've actually had for about 4 months now, but I'll be replacing this part. That'll be here in the future. I kind of had a photo that I posted the other day. That one was specifically about a gauge. So one of the things that I was kind of thinking about doing was deep down here in this hole is a oil pressure gauge on the side of the head. Oh, yeah, in fact, you can see it right there. And I want to adapt a manual gauge because I don't know much about oil pressure in terms of how much is being produced by this specific bike. I have to look in the manual, but when I go and start getting everything going, I'll take a look at that and see if we know what a normal oil pressure range is supposed to be. But oil pressure seems to kind of plague this particular motor in the head. I've seen a lot of chewed up cams and stuff like that and everything else from oil pressure related issues. So I said, you know what, let me see if there's a way that we can have a constant oil pressure gauge adapted and or put in place while retaining the oil pressure gauge or sensor itself for the bike. That's going to be a fairly interesting project. I've got some cosmetic things that I'm considering back here. that's going to happen in the near future. Get some suspension related stuff. I'm excited about that. That's going to be in a future video that I'm going to do a little bit of an unboxing. I have a friend of mine who recently sold his bike and has kind of donated his head. And I got a few boxes full of other parts as well. So I've been, as you can see, gauge already, been kind of working around playing with how to facilitate that. So hopefully I'll have something about that, or up pretty soon about that, maybe this weekend. It just kind of depends. But yeah, so that's kind of where we're at. Gonna get this going, a few more little projects here and there, and then kind of see where we can kind of go moving forward. At some point I may end up going through and doing like a quick video on, well, it may not be that quick to be honest, looking at this ring right here, you know, the potential, or showing what would be necessary when it comes to prepping a head, right? So obviously exhaust port here. On mine is actually ported out. I ported mine, so we're going to do some port magic on this. Probably the intake side as well. I didn't do that on my other one, but you know, I'd like to do that on this one. This actually is a second gen head, and then from there, this is the top part, and then as you can see, original gasket rings here, right? So we'll probably do another video more in detail in terms of, like, you know, a DIY at-home prep that you can do to prep these heads for install. Now, one thing that you will notice, or key thing that you'll notice, is that this right here exists. This right here was the #1 problem that plagued first gen Duke heads, and the 390 head didn't actually have this bridge here, and so what you would have is right here in this area there would be a low spot. So obviously they addressed that with second gens by including a bridge here. The first gens don't actually have this, so we're going to look at that in the future video. We're going to do, you know, the DIY method of going through prepping a head, as well as you know, lapping in valves and stuff like that for a good seal. That's kind of what I'm planning on doing, and you know, possible adaptation in the future of installing this on my own personal Duke, and you know, whatever plans that are going to come from that. You'll see here this says bad. That's because the threads get ripped out very easy on this. If you don't know, this is for the cam bridge, and yes, these bolts are sized very specifically for a certain order. If you don't know that, it's very easy to rip this one out. Looking at it from the bike, the front of the bike is here. This one is very hard to get to, especially with a torque wrench, and even then it's made out of cheese, so you have to be very careful with how much you torque this. It's very common for these to get ripped out. My other one that I'm actually currently running, I've got 3 of these replaced with helicoils, so I will very likely end up just replacing all of these with helicoils now to make my life a little bit easier, or at least these 4, as I know that these 4 are easy to get to. These ones are not as easy because there's the frame that's right here, and more importantly, there's the module, the ABS module that hangs right here, which makes things really difficult. Plus the way that this is angled, right? Normally the helicoil, you want to kind of get straight on. A little bit of an angle makes that kind of hard to be able to do for these. So what will likely happen as well is I'll probably use this as a test in the future too. Well, I shouldn't use the word test. I'll probably make another video that shows a little bit more in depth with doing valve clearance checks. Mainly because I do have the other one, which I'm sure a lot of you have seen. It's a super long video. That video shows, you know, that entire process with it being in the bike, but to make things a little bit easier, since I have this extra head, I'll throw all this stuff together, kind of show you how to do it and what you're looking for outside of the head, or excuse me, outside of the motorcycle itself, and then that'll give you an idea of what to expect when you actually go into the bike and try to do the work yourself as well. That way you can kind of reference this one and the main one, which shows you how to do it inside the bike. So other than that, that's kind of where we're at. Hopefully I'll get one of those videos out sometime soon. It just depends, but as you can see, lots of unpacking to do still, and that's all we got for now. If you got any questions, as always, feel free to hit me up. If you see any comments or suggestions, definitely let me know. I'll be glad to take your suggestions. I always am. That's all I got. Thanks. Bye.